This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
You know what's great about your investment account with the big guys? It's actually a time machine. Log in and zoom. Welcome back to 1999. It's time for an upgrade. At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind at Public.com. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Thanks to our friends at Unreal, you can restock your wardrobe with Unreal golf apparel this year, just like Common. Register to win up to $1,000 in Unreal golf apparel on our contest page. One lucky winner will restock their closet with amazing golf apparel thanks to Unreal. KFAN.com, keyword contest center today.
Talking hoops with Dane Moore about 30 minutes from now. John Bonus and baseball, including your Minnesota Twins, about an hour from now. But now,
Big Bites.
let's begin with those Twins.
And Lee hammers one to right, down the line, deep in the corner. This one sending Lucas near the wall, and that is gone, a home run. So Brooks Lee ties it up with his fifth home run, his second hit today, and his 3-3.
Well, that one had plenty of height to get out of here. Snuck it inside the foul pole. I want some quick hands on the inside corner, up and in to Brooks Lee. Got enough of it.
Visible inside the dugout, and Brooks Lee with his fifth. 3-2, and now Vasquez to left and deep. Back it goes in the corner, and that is gone. And the Twins go back-to-back and have the lead. It's 4-3 here at Target Field.
Yeah, back-to-back homers from Brooks Lee and Christian Vasquez in the fourth inning yesterday as the Twins snapped that three-game losing streak. Avoid being swept. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays by a score of 6-3. The bottom four hitters in the lineup yesterday, Willie Castro, Ty France, Brooks Lee, and Vasquez, they combined for 8 hits, 3 walks, 5 runs, and 4 RBI, and the manager liked his offense yesterday.
I'd really like to highlight the at-bats that we had today in the game. It was kind of like animalistic stuff. It was just our guys up and down the lineup just dominated the strike zone today and just refused to expand and swing at very many pitches at all below the zone.
Pretty mass start for Joe Ryan, by the way. 5 innings, 3 runs, 2 of them earned. Gave up 4 hits and 3 walks. And they'll need him moving forward here because we already know Pablo Lopez out for a couple months with that shoulder injury. Zebby Matthews placed on the 15-day injured list because of a right shoulder strain. An MRI revealed a moderate subscapularis strain with him. So Simeon Woods-Richardson expected to fill Matthews' spot in the rotation. He's had 3 minor league starts since he got sent down or sent east to St. Paul, and he's at a 4.24 ERA in those starts. Twins, by the way, off today. They're at Texas tomorrow night.
Big Bites.
He learned his lesson the time before he got the foul. Stay down and just contest.
Gildas Alexander off the bounce, gets inside, double clutch, counted out a foul. Chance for a 3-point play.
Yeah, OKC Thunder, that's SGA. He had 34 points. The Thunder win Game 2 to even that series against the Pacers at 1-1. Game was 123-107 last night. As I mentioned, SGA, 34 points. And they just get scoring from everywhere, Brett. Alex Caruso, 20 points off the bench. Jalen Williams, 19 points. Aaron Wiggins, 18 points. Chet Holmgren, 15 points. And after Tyrese Halliburton had that game-winning shot in Game 1, they held him in check with 17. I don't know if you watched the game last night, but it seems like every other Oklahoma City game we've watched, right? It just seems like it's the same team. I know they lost Game 1, and sometimes they have a little drop set, but I mean, last night looked like your typical OKC game of extremely good defense. Anyone can score, hitting threes. I guess that's the biggest compliment you can give them is they look the same every single game.
Yeah, I was scoreboard watching as I had family stuff going on in Iowa yesterday, and it was one of those games where sometimes if it's close, I'll be like, well, I got to turn this on my phone right now to watch all this. There was never a point where I felt like I needed to. I was like, I know how this game's going. They're dominating, and I think I saw it at like a 25-point lead or something like that. It's over.
Yep, so, it was. They were relatively early. Indiana was in it right away, but then later first quarter, OKC started to pull away, and as you mentioned, they were up over plus 20 a couple different times. There was one time where Indiana kind of pushed it to like a 13-point deficit, and with Indiana, you just got to think, well, they just want to keep it close, and then they can kind of take over games in the last 3, 4, 5 minutes of games. But that's the problem against OKC. It's hard to keep it close. Game 3 Wednesday night in Indianapolis. I don't like this NBA Finals schedule where play a game, 2 days off. Play a game, 2 days off. And then what happens is then they force the NHL to do the exact same thing because the NHL is so scared to have a game on the same night as the NBA. So there was nothing on Saturday. No NHL game, no NBA game because the NBA pushed it back. NHL just say, don't worry about it. We'll play an afternoon game on Sunday. We can both play them both on the same day. We don't need to copy the NBA.
Big Bites.
Speaking of the NHL, I guess we do have to go back to Friday night for this highlight.
Draisaitl back out for a shot by Ekholm, missed the net. Ahead for Marchand, moving in on Skinner. Marchand it's in, he scores! Marchand wins game 2 for the Panthers in double overtime.
Yes, big goal for Brad Marchand as the Panthers win in double overtime 5-4 over the Oilers after the Oilers had taken game 1, so they even that series at 1-1. And would have been even more devastating, Brett, because they've got the lead. Edmonton does what Edmonton does, where Corey Perry scores with 17.8 seconds left in regulation. So if you lose in the manner in which they could have lost there, where you give up a goal late and then lose in overtime to be down 2-0, I mean, that's almost night-night. Mm-hmm. You can't ever say that with a team, especially like the Florida Panthers that have won the Stanley Cup and can overcome situations like that. But man, that was a critical juncture already just in game 2 of that series for Florida to finalize that one. And the guy you mentioned earlier, Brad Marchand, you don't like him when he's on someone else's team, but when you love him on your team. And I don't know if you watched this game or not, but the amount of times Marchand was getting loose on breakaways, and he might have found something there. I don't know if he found something with the way the Oilers defensemen are holding the blue line and figuring out when to cut loose. But that's something the Edmonton's got to figure out here moving forward in the series. It's clear the Oilers can score on anybody. I just don't think there's any team in the league that can just defend them and completely shut them down, especially when they're on the power play, especially when they're in 6-on-5 situations late. But Edmonton a little leaky defensively there. Yeah, you can't stop them. You can only hope to contain them. The last 3 goals of the game were Marchand, Corey Perry, Marchand again. These guys who have been in the league just forever. Like, I'm still shocked. Well, Corey Perry we wrote off like 6 years ago. Yes. Marchand has steadily kept his play where it needs to be. But I mean, Corey Perry has been thought of like a 4th-line player over the last couple of years. And he basically is, but he can play in certain roles on the power play. He's great as a net front presence. Wow, well, that might be a different situation. Yep. He's a great net front presence in Zuccarello. 6-on-5 situations and power play situations, and can get the kind of goals he got at the end of that game. I mean, I remember vividly watching Corey Perry when I was, I think, in junior high, play for one of my favorite line names of all time, the RPG line for the Ducks. Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, it's Getzlaf. Who was the third? Getzlaf, Bobby Ryan. Oh, yes. What happened to him? That line was unbelievable. What happened to him? Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty good there for a stretch there in Anaheim.
Big Bite. Bites.
Let's move on to your 9-0 Minnesota Lynx.
3-level scorer and, a difficult matchup for people. I'm just glad that, people are understanding Fee's greatness. There's nothing else you could say at this point. How great she is at both ends of the floor. I mean, we're not talking about just putting the ball in the hole. We're talking about she leads the team in 9 deflections, 4 block shots, and we think maybe even more than just 4. But just a complete player, best player in the league.
Yeah, that's Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve talking about MVP Nafisa Collier. 28 points on 10 of 19 shooting, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks, and 9 deflections, which I didn't know was a stat until this morning. Did you know deflections was a basketball stat?
I did not know that.
I've never heard anyone talk about deflections. I feel like it should be. That's kind of...
Is it blocks?
No, I'm assuming it's
like tip passes?
Yeah, like they go to make a pass and you'd get a piece of it, hand it, or maybe instead of a steal, it's one of those where you knock it and it goes out of bounds. I don't know. I'd never heard of it until this morning, but sounds like 9's a lot. So she's very active defensively. The Lynx, by the way, beat the Dallas Wings, who they've played 3 times now. And they played a Wings team that did not have Paige Beckers in the lineup last night. They went 81-65. So the Lynx, now 9-0. They have matched the 2017 Lynx team for the 3rd best start to a season in franchise history. And there's another team, I think the 2012 team is at 10-0. So they have a chance to match that 10-0 start. Kayla McBride, by the way, 21 points. She was 6 of 10 from 3. And this one was a little dicey for a while there because Dallas cut that lead to 1 as they approached the 4th quarter, but the Lynx finished on a 24-9 run in the 4th quarter. Lynx at Seattle Wednesday night as they'll take on the Storm. That's it for
Big Bites.
Brett, I know people want you and I to talk Minnesota Wild. They're clamoring for you and I to talk Minnesota Wild, and we have some Rossi rumors we'll discuss next.
You know what's great about your investment account with the big guys? It's actually a time machine. Log in and zoom. Welcome back to 1999. It's time for an upgrade. At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind at Public.com. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
In the heat of battle, your squad relies on you. Don't let them down. Unlock elite gaming tech at Lenovo.com. Dominate every match with next-level speed, seamless streaming, and performance that won't quit, so you can push your gameplay beyond performance with Intel Core Ultra processors. For the next era of gaming, upgrade to smooth, high-quality streaming with Intel Wi-Fi 6E and maximize game performance with enhanced overclocking. Win the tech search. Power up at Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. So you want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people and fancy tech skills, but you don't. You just need GoDaddy Aero. I'm Walton Goggins, and as an actor, I'm an expert in looking like I know what I'm doing, even when I don't. And I like the sound of starting my own business, Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses. But I'm an actor. I don't know what I'm doing. I needed help. GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create everything you need to grow a business. It'll make you a unique logo. It'll create a custom website. It'll write social posts for you and even set you up with a social media calendar. I didn't even realize I needed a social media calendar. GoDaddy Aero will take your idea that sounds good and make a business that looks like you know what you're doing. GoDaddy Aero can get your business up and running in minutes. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a plan. Get started at GoDaddy.com/Aero. That's GoDaddy.com/AIRO.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Get ready to experience the magic of James Taylor live in concert. Don't miss out on seeing the legendary singer-songwriter along with his all-star band when they take the stage at XL Energy Center June 17th. Tickets still available, and you can get all the details KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Tennafitzgerald, Brett Blakemore with me. Talking hoops with Dane Moore about 15 minutes from now. Before we talk Wild, Brett.
The more you know.
There's one country in the world, trivia question for you. Okay. One country in the world where 32% of the people in the country are millionaires. Can you name it?
Ooh.
32%.
32.
Highest percentage of millionaires of any country in the world.
This isn't my guess. I'm just trying to narrow it down. I'm guessing it's in Europe? Actually, I don't know. Now I'm actually backtracking on that. I'll just say it. I'll just say like Switzerland or something. Something. You always hear about a Swiss bank account. That's my only basis I'm going off of. So, even in the right hemisphere.
It is in Europe.
Okay, I'll take that.
I'm trying to look at a map right now to see how I get relatively close to Switzerland. Much smaller in size, though. So when I'd first heard this,
Liechtenstein.
When I first heard this, my thought was like, well, I know Luxembourg is the smallest country, so I'm guessing it's got to be something tiny, right, to have the right percentage of millionaires.
How many millionaires are in Vatican City?
Well, maybe more than we know. The correct answer is Monaco.
Oh,
their population is 38,300.
Yeah,
12,261 of them are millionaires. So that means 32% of that country is are millionaires. Their poverty in the country is zero. There is zero poverty in the country of Monaco, which is in Europe, and it looks absolutely tiny. I've never been there.
Well, they've got the race, the Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
Is that technically looks like it's right next to France and...
It is. Yeah, it's on like the south side of France.
France-Italy border almost there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where all the beautiful people go, for sure. Especially when the F1 is there. Yeah, there's a lot of... That's prime time celebrity.
You see all the yachts.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I did not know that. The more you know.
All right, Brett. It's going to be a big offseason for our favorite team, our Minnesota Wild.
Could be the biggest.
Amazing. The most amazing thing is like it's been completely quiet on the Kirill Kaprizov front, which is great.
Yeah.
The fact that we're not hearing noise about Kirill Kaprizov leads me to believe it's just a matter of when, not if.
The July 1?
He signs his contract extension. Well, I guess maybe by the time we get to like a week before July 1st, Russo's going to throw something out there to scare us. And it's probably just Kaprizov's agent trying to leverage negotiations through the media, and they'll scare us. They will. But it's been quiet on that front, and given that is A topic, B topic, C topic, D topic, and for this organization moving forward, I guess it's probably a good thing we haven't heard a whole lot about Kaprizov. After that, it almost seems like it's inevitable here in the next couple of weeks before July 1st, or before the draft probably. When is the NHL draft? I probably should know that. That Marco Rossi is going to be traded. And just listening to Michael Russo last week, yeah, he almost just seems it's like he's convinced of it. And I did see this note from Russo that the Vancouver Canucks are one team looking heavily into acquiring center Marco Rossi. Russo says, quote, I definitely hear from really good sources that Vancouver really likes Marco and is very interested in Marco. Does that mean a trade? Does that mean an offer sheet? One or the other? Who knows? We're just kind of in a weird spot here in Minnesota Wild fandom where we've rarely had a legit number one center. And I guess if you want to call Joel Eriksson Ek a legit number one center, you could. But we've always been weak at the second center spot. Like we had Mikko Koivu for a long time and really no one ever to compliment him playing a top six role. So like we've been searching for this. We've been asking for them to draft and develop a potential top six center. And they finally draft one in Marco Rossi, who's taken 9th or 10th or 11th overall. And he got off to a little bit of a weird start because of COVID, and he had the heart issues and had to miss an entire year. But he was a big-time scorer in Canadian juniors with the Oshawa Generals. I loved him coming out of that draft. I remember thinking, hey, he's not the biggest in size, but he plays bigger. Like he was strong on his skates against that competition. He would drive the puck to the net. He wasn't just a perimeter player. And we got to the point where, well, he made his first jump in the NHL and it did not go well for him. Then had a better year than this past year when you had guys like Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek out for an extended period of time. He put up 60 points. At moments, had big goals for you to put yourself in a chance to make the playoffs. And you're now hearing trade rumors with him, and I find it, I don't know if ironic is the right word, but we're going to use ironic, that it seems like there's a lot of teams interested in him because there's a lot of teams that need centers. And he's a guy at just 23 years old that has the potential. He's put up 60 points at a young age, has the potential to be a number 1 or number 2 center, and we've waited all this time to get him, and now it looks like we're going to let him go. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we don't know. This is always a two-way street. And some of this might be on Rossi's side, right? From all reports he didn't like that he was relegated to the 4th line in the playoffs and doesn't feel like maybe he can commit long-term here unless the Wild are willing to give him a long-term commitment, which doesn't sound like they are, or if they are, it's for a cheap rate. That it just seems like there's a contract impasse that's just not going to be broken here. And we waited this long to draft and develop a center, and now we're probably going to end up shipping him to a team that also is in that same need.
Yeah, it just boggles my mind that when they drafted him, they knew he was undersized. It's not like, I mean, it had it right there on the draft report, like he's this small, he's undersized. And somehow he gets here and they're like, oh, we didn't think he'd be that small. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like they were just stunned by their own draft pick. And he was my guy that I wanted out of that draft too. But because we've had centers, but not the puck moving, point generating skill centers, right? Yeah. I still say to this day that Ryan O'Reilly's the best Wild center to ever not play for the Wild. Even though, he was on the Wild for like 30 seconds, I think. So, I mean, Koivu was good, but I wouldn't consider him a point producer. You know, and Ek, I love Ek. I don't think he's your number 1 scoring. He can score, but I don't know if he's to that level of like skill center. I love Eriksson Ek, though. Don't get me wrong.
He's great because he's a shutdown. You're going to put him out against the other team's top lines. And
you need those.
He's great in that spot on the power play.
But I think it's right that Rossi should be peeved that, I mean, he was the Wild's 2nd leading scorer this year, and they put him on the 4th line. And then he was 2nd leading scorer because your 2 players that are better than him did not play a chunk of the season. So let's preface Boldy and him, and then Kaprizov, I think, still after that.
Was Kaprizov
him missing?
Did he surpass Kaprizov in points this year?
In points, I'm 99% sure he did.
Goals, Kaprizov for the longest time was still leading the team in goals and points.
Yeah, despite him not really playing half the season.
But I mean, he's not better than Boldy, Kaprizov, or Eriksson Ek. So.
He was, in fact, the 2nd leading point scorer. So Boldy had 73 points. Rossi had 60
I guess the point I'm just playing is just devil's advocate of you're saying he was your 2nd leading scorer, but that doesn't mean he's your 2nd best player offensively.
That is true, but I still...
He played more games.
But would I rather have him centering a line than Freddie Gaudreau?
Well...
Or Nyquist? Or Johansson?
Nyquist wasn't center, but yeah.
Well, you know what I mean. Yeah. To me, he's a maybe not light years, but much better point scorer than any of those guys.
Well, no doubt.
So, but here's the thing that drives me crazy is that he was still scoring on that 4th line. In the limited minutes he had, he still found a way to get to the net and score. And then what happened after that, he didn't get rewarded. He got punished, and they kept him off the ice even further because they didn't trust him. He did make a few defensive woes, which...
Here's what I'll say. I think the playoff scoring's been a little overblown. Right, like he had 2 goals. I get it. He was playing less minutes. The 1 goal, he had the puck in the slot all alone. That puck was going to hit the goalie in the middle of the logo, and it went off a defenseman's stick and went up over him. So, like, there wasn't like some great skilled play that Marco Rossi made. That now credit to Rossi for being in the right spot. I'll credit him there. He was in the right area to receive the pass. But it wasn't like some brilliant finish. Like, man, that guy's high level. He needs to be playing more. Like, there's a lot of puck luck on that goal. And Trennian all of a sudden became a play.
They don't ask how, Tanner. They ask how many.
And Ryan Hartman did outplay Rossi. I have no problem with Hartman being elevated in that series. You could argue, to your point, Should Rossi be playing more than Frederick Gaudreau? Probably not. Is Frederick Gaudreau going to win more faceoffs for you? Yeah. Is he going to kill more penalties for you? Yes. Is he going to be better defensively for you? Yes. But I get it. I definitely would rather have Rossi in offensive situations over Frederick Gaudreau. But I also get like the wild side of this, right? Like, I like Rossi. I'd like to have him on the team. But there does come a certain dollar amount where I'm like, I don't want to give him that, right? Like, I don't know how much more of a ceiling Marco Rossi has. And even though he scored 2 goals in the playoffs, I don't know if he could be a playoff-style scorer in that type of game moving forward. So, like, the 5 years, $5 million, the Wild GM Bill Guerin offered, I'm fine with that. I'd be fine at Rossi for 5. He starts making $7 million a year, or if he thinks he should be making more than Boldy, no, I'm out. And it stinks because we've been waiting. Yeah. We've been building for the 2025-2026 season, and we might already be taking a step backwards because what are the odds? I'm hoping that whatever Rossi trade brings in, we can add pieces to Rossi to bring in a big-time guy moving forward, like an impact player, like Tage Thompson.
Which I'm all in for, by the way.
Don't know how likely that is, but I would love me some Tage Thompson. The Minnesota Timberwolves, is Chris Finch going to be back here next year? Will Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker? We'll ask someone much more knowledgeable about basketball than me, Dane Moore from the Dane Moore podcast. He joins next right here on The Fitz.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Come on. Why is this taking so long? This thing is ancient.
Still using yesterday's tech? Upgrade to the ThinkPad X1 Carbon. Ultra-light, ultra-powerful, and built for serious productivity. With Intel Core Ultra processors, blazing speed, and AI-powered performance, it keeps up with your business, not the other way around.
Whoa, this thing moves.
Stop hitting snooze on new tech. Win the tech search at Lenovo.com. Lenovo. Unlock AI experiences with the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors, so you can work, create, and boost productivity all on one device.
So you want to start a business. You might think you need a team of people and fancy tech skills, but you don't. You just need GoDaddy Aero. I'm Walton Goggins, and as an actor, I'm an expert in looking like I know what I'm doing, even when I don't. And I like the sound of starting my own business, Walton Goggins Goggle Glasses. But I'm an actor. I don't know what I'm doing. I needed help. GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create everything you need to grow a business. It'll make you a unique logo. It'll create a custom website. It'll write social posts for you and even set you up with a social media calendar. I didn't even realize I needed a social media calendar. GoDaddy Aero will take your idea that sounds good and make a business that looks like you know what you're doing. GoDaddy Aero can get your business up and running in minutes. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a plan. Get started at GoDaddy.com/Aero. That's GoDaddy.com/AIRO.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Tennafitzgerald. We'll be talking Twins with John Bonus from the Gleeman and the Geek podcast and Twins Daily. about 25 minutes from now. But now we're going to chat a little Timberwolves and NBA Finals with Dane Moore from the Dane Moore podcast. Dane, how you doing?
What's up, Tenna? I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Have you gotten some rest and some recovering after grinding out all those weeks during the playoffs?
I have, yeah, man. It's that's the good part is once the Wolves season's over, it's summertime, and get to enjoy it a little bit.
Well, as someone who has covered the Wild quite a bit, it was always kind of nice, like middle of April, the season's over and you can kind of be done. It seems like every year now you're going to be flirting with June for a lot of your work now.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I guess I hope so. It's that's kind of the crazy thing, just in general, about the future of this team is it's all still new, even though it's been 2 years in a row, and we're getting used to it. And yeah, that includes us on the reporter side of things. It's I'm happy to be able to be doing what I'm doing, but it does kind of suck when for like 8 weeks you're like, yeah, I don't know. They might have a game 2 weeks out from today. The scheduling of the NBA.
You can't plan your life.
I feel like they could do a better job.
All right, I do want to talk majority of future here in the segment, but I'm going to do one look back at the Western Conference Finals against OKC. How much of that did you expect? Was that disheartening for you? I guess as someone who doesn't watch the Wolves as much as you, I thought, man, just see the way Julius Randle was playing and Anthony Edwards seemed like just offensively they could get whatever they want. The two previous series, and to see them just be completely frustrated, it was kind of hard to watch as a Wolves fan through chunks of that series.
Yeah, I think that is a lot of a credit to Oklahoma City. That is kind of what they do. They make it tough for your primary scorers. They have a depth of defenders. I mean, it's crazy. You got Lou Dort, who might be the best perimeter defender, the best in the league at guarding, at Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic type. And then, you got another option like Alex Caruso or Cason Wallace, who are just about as good as he is. I mean, it's an interesting roster construction design for the Thunder that is why they are where they are, prioritizing the defense while also having a very effective offense too. And it's the wrong type of team for a team that has Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. It was very limiting to both of them. I think we saw that in different ways. I think with Ant, it limited the volume of his work, and that led to some of he needs to be more aggressive, conversation that was coming out in the middle of that series. A lot of that is, the Thunder defense. Do you really want Ant to plow into four defenders every single time? I mean, what percentage of those shots is he going to make? It's limiting for him in that way. And then with Julius Randle, it's just very different to try to be scoring against Lou Dort or Jalen Williams or something like that, compared to the guys that were guarding him in the Golden State series, the Lakers series. It's just a long way of saying, the Thunder just have far superior defenders than the Lakers and the Warriors do, which I think we saw most notably cost Julius Randle his production in the series. And this team doesn't have enough offensive juice if it's just Ant, which isn't any shade towards Ant. You need secondary options, especially a secondary option that can maybe loosen things up for Ant.
So how has your perception of Julius Randle changed in terms of what he means to the future of the Minnesota Timberwolves? Because I have to imagine for a good chunk of the season, maybe people are thinking, well, he's going to be one and done here and he'll be moving on for the next one. And then he had the great playoff game, a series against LA and Oklahoma City, or not, Golden State, excuse me. And you're thinking, this guy is a core player moving forward, and then just the absolute dud against Oklahoma City. So what are your thoughts on his future here in Minnesota and whether he's going to continue to stay here?
Yeah, just from a basketball standpoint first, so we can kind of talk about the contract some too, because that's probably, that's a big factor in staying or going in any sport. But I think it's just important to contextualize that a lot of really good players in the league, even top 25 players, I mean, you even think about Cat this way, or Darius Garland, who's another name that's out there, right now. These guys that are really good but a little bit situational depending on the opponent. There's things that are going to come up over the course of multiple playoff series. Like, as happened with Julius Randle. If he would have played teams that were defensively like the Warriors in every single series, then okay, he's going to have an awesome playoffs. But he's going to let you down sometimes in situations where he can't just dominate a one-on-one matchup. And that, I don't know, like that maybe makes some people go, well, you need him to be able to dominate his one-on-one matchups. And if he can't dominate his one-on-one matchups, then you need to trade him for something else. And the question is it's like, okay, you trade him for something else, but is that something else not going to come with their own problems? How many players in the league don't have shortcomings like that would show up? So I get people being frustrated with Julius Randle. I'm just saying, I don't know if there's always greener pastures out there. And sometimes you end up taking a player, I think Rudy Gobert is this way too, where, they're just not perfect, and they're going to have things that bother you about their games from time to time. But overall, in the aggregate, are they very good players? Are they all NBA players, all defense team players? Yes, they're just not going to give you everything you need. And I don't think just because they're not going to give you everything they need doesn't necessarily mean they can't be on your team, if that makes sense.
All right, how about Anthony Edwards? Seems like an annual discussion. He added the three-point shot to his repertoire this season. Obviously, we know he can slice and dice and get to the lane and do all that kind of stuff. What's next in his progression? I know a lot of people after the Thunder series, when they see SGA hitting those mid-range shots, go, oh, Ant needs to add mid-range to his game, which I think he's very capable of. But when you look at Ant and what does he need to do next in his progression?
Yeah, I think I think Finch had an interesting answer about this when we did our exit interview with him. And the first thing that Finch said was, he needs to do more of the thinking the game route, which is, even more understanding defenses and being able to kind of manipulate defenses himself and understand what the defense is doing against what your offense is doing. Ant has come a long way in that category from when he was 21 to when he's 23 now. You think about when he first entered the playoffs, his first season to now, way better at that. But there's a long ways to go there, too, in terms of, reaching next levels of thinking the game even more. Finch also talked about the need to kind of find his spots, more specific spots on the floor that he can specifically use at end of games or at times when, things are kind of bogged down and you just need to be able to go get a look, a good one. And you see some of the players that, Anthony Edwards is one of the best players in the league, but the players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who everybody would rank higher than Ant right now, they have more repeatable spots that they can get to and score at there. So I think it's more about, kind of finding the advantages that Ant can have and understanding how to do them repeatedly. That is both a physical and mental journey, but we've seen Ant grow in both of those ways, but there's more to come. He is 3 years younger than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that gives you hope that those things are going to come in time. But it doesn't mean they're any guarantee. He has to put in that work and become as sharp of a player as he is physically imposing as a player.
Talking with Dane Moore of the Dane Moore podcast. He actually just tweeted out a link to a brand new podcast about 4 minutes ago. So either you were great at multitasking or you scheduled that tweet ahead of time. Either way, props to you. But you can
Thank you.
You can follow him at Dane Moore NBA. You can check out his new podcast, talking Minnesota Timberwolves. I saw this report a couple days ago. I'm very curious what your thoughts are. I saw that the New York Knicks reportedly are interested in pursuing Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch as their next head coach. Obviously, they fired Tibbs a little while ago. Explain to me your thoughts on where this report's coming from, why New York has interest, and would the Minnesota Timberwolves actually consider trading their head coach?
Well, first, I've got no indication that the Timberwolves are open to trading their head coach. That's extremely rare. I think the last time that happened was when the Clippers traded for Doc Rivers back from Boston back, 15 years ago, something like that. I guess it can be done. it's very rare. So I think that's
I remember John Gruden getting traded.
Probably finished with it.
Yeah, I remember John Gruden in the NFL getting traded. But yeah, it's very rare.
Sure. Also about 20 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, so yeah, it could happen. I think I haven't even really asked around about this, but the dots I would connect as to why New York, one, they have a vacancy. Tim got fired. They are a team that has offensive needs that probably need to be addressed. And while I think a lot of people here don't love Chris Finch's offensive system, he does around the league is viewed as a very creative and effective offensive coach. So I would understand, the intrigue if you're the Knicks of adding a good offensive coach. Then you also have the fact that he coached Karl Anthony Towns, some familiarity there. And then Gerson Rosas is in that New York front office now. And Gerson Rosas was the president of basketball operations of the Timberwolves, who made the very bold move to go out and hire Chris Finch in the middle of the season to take over. Those guys go back, way back to not even before Finch's days in Houston, but Finch's days with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers in the G League. Gerson Rosas was the GM of that G League team. That also would have been about 20 years ago. So the Rosas and Finch connection is strong, and I would bet money that leak somehow came through Gerson Rosas and, put that out there, because that's the connection I would make there.
All right, there were trade rumors before the trade deadline that the Wolves had made an effort to acquire Kevin Durant from the Phoenix Suns. Those, I don't even know if to call them rumors anymore, or reports are back again this offseason that the Timberwolves are one of the teams interested in getting Kevin Durant. So, one, are you in or out on Kevin Durant? And two, what would the Wolves have to give up to get him?
Well, those questions tie into each other. To me, directly, it would all be about what the price tag is to acquire Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is on a $54.7 million expiring contract, so you know what that contract is. There's 1 year left on it. And I don't know how many draft picks, if any, they would need to attach to outgoing players to make that worth their while. And I think, if you start talking about needing to trade multiple first-round picks or young players or something like that, I think trading for Kevin Durant at 37 years old on an expiring contract makes significantly less sense. I think the whole premise of a Kevin Durant trade making sense is based on the reality that comes to fruition of not being able to retain Naz Reid. If you're not able to retain Naz Reid because his contract is going to be too big, then it makes sense to kind of repurpose that asset into trading it to Phoenix or trading it in some 3-team trade to bring back Kevin Durant. I think if the Wolves are able to bring back Julius Randle, Naz Reid, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, all while staying underneath the second apron, I don't even think we need to start Kevin Durant conversations. It doesn't make as much sense. But if you start knowing that you are going to lose one of Alexander Walker, Randall, or especially Reed in free agency, then yeah, you need to start opening up contingency plans. And I think trading for Kevin Durant in that case, that's what we got into in depth on my show today, is how that starts making sense for the Wolves. But if it ever gets to a point where it's a ton of draft picks that have to be going out, I'm not sure that makes a ton of sense for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant.
Generally speaking, without throwing any names, and I know it's hard to answer this without any names, but are you for the approach of big game hunting at this point for the Minnesota Timberwolves? Or, I kind of just am wondering from a chemistry standpoint how challenging it is to just keep changing out stars year after year, right? You trade out Karl Anthony Towns a week before the season, and then if you now move on to different stars, are you for trying to bolster your roster to get to that point where you want as much star power as possible, or would you like to kind of just see this thing out with kind of their current roster as long as you can?
I just think kind of part of this new salary cap environment in the NBA, if you are an expensive team, churning through some trades is just necessarily how it's going to go.
Okay.
And the Wolves got themselves there with Gobert and then Gobert and Cat and trading them for Randall. I think this will start being a bit of a pattern of once you're really expensive, you kind of do start cycling through some of these players who basically hold a $40-50 million part of your salary cap, right? And interchanging them out for different things that make sense for your roster. That's what the Cat trade was. They repurposed the Cat asset into 2 players and a first-round pick from the Knicks. I think that, logically made sense there. That doesn't mean every single Kevin Durant trade is logically going to make sense. But could you get put in a situation that, again, makes it make sense to churn that Julius Randle asset or piece into Kevin Durant? Yeah, I think that can come with the territory of being, this expensive of a team. I just think that's how this is going to be working economically in the NBA now. I think the interesting thing, though, about Durant is he has got to be one of the most amorphous stars out there, where he really could fit in positionally a lot better than maybe some other players of his caliber could. He's shown an ability to kind of be more of a secondary guy that fits in without costing the primary guy. If you brought in a Giannis to this team, that would completely change the entire dynamic of how they play. And now you have Ant and Giannis are both these downhill rim attacker guys. That would be a weird team. I think Durant, the advantage of Durant is he could pretty seamlessly fit into whatever role they do have, just given his skill set and size and shooting capability. He's kind of uniquely amorphous in that way, I think.
You've already alluded to the 2 big free agents this offseason for the Timberwolves. That would be Naz Reid and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. How do you view what's going to happen with those 2 in free agency? Do you think I would have to imagine Naz Reid's already given us the hometown discount once. I don't know if he could do it a second time. He could probably make more money and have a better role elsewhere. Nickeil Alexander-Walker obviously was good in the role he played and has a chance to get paid. How do you see the Wolves' ability to retain those 2?
It's kind of going to sound like a cop-out, but it's so market dependent. There is one team that has real cap space in the NBA right now, and it's Brooklyn. That is not normal. Normally at this time of year, you look 5-10 years back, there'd be 7, 8, 9 teams who have a good chunk of cap space, if not max cap space, to be able to go get a player. So you have this real restriction in the market of teams not having money to offer players big salary cap style contracts. And it's going to be fascinating around the NBA for these players like Naz Reid, like Julius Randle, like Miles Turner, who's in the finals right now, who are not max players, but they're probably somewhere between $20 and $30 million a year players. How is that market going to come together exactly when there isn't cap space out there? It's going to be restrictive, and it's going to suppress some guys' markets in that marketplace. And I don't think we know to what degree that is going to happen. I mean, somebody's going to get really yanked around in this. And, to reference Tyus Jones, Minnesota guy, I don't know if you remember this, but he really fell victim to the market last season. All the space dried up, and he was forced to sign a minimum contract with the Phoenix Suns when Tyus Jones was definitely not a quote-unquote minimum level player. Yeah. So I'm fascinated to see how the market, what market is able to materialize for Naz Reid, because we haven't really seen a league economy functioning quite like this one ever.
Obviously, with how high the Wolves are salary cap-wise, it's important to have young players emerge. I wanted to get your thoughts on the rookie seasons of Dillingham and Terrence Shannon. The moments I saw from Shannon in the playoffs, I seem to like what he provided. What did you think of both of their rookie seasons? And, at what point could you have expectations that they could have a much bigger role on this team?
Yeah, I'll hit Shannon quickly. I mean, I saw what you and everybody else saw. You saw a physically imposing, rookie who can really attack the basket with athletic pop. Even looked like his jump shot was pretty functional too. He looks like a rotation player in the playoffs, as he was. And what's unique about him is he was a rookie this season, but he was 24 years old. He kind of fell into the transfer portal, COVID, all that sort of stuff that kept him in college for a really long time. So physically, mentally, he's older than Ant. So he is relatively ready, to impact. And I think if this team does lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker in free agency, and I would say he's the most likely to be lost, the good news is you do have Terrence Shannon Jr., who's a wing who could fill some of those minutes. Jalen Clark, who played some this season, could fill in some of those Nickeil minutes. Even Rob Dillingham could fill in some of those. So I feel good about Terrence Shannon Jr. as being an effective NBA role player next season. The Dillingham one, not to say that Shannon doesn't have an upside, but Dillingham comes with this more implied high upside of being the 8th overall pick, being 19 years old, and kind of being, the idea of what they need the running mate to be next to Anthony Edwards at the point guard position, the heir apparent to Mike Conley. Now, we didn't get to see much of that with Rob Dillingham this season. He wasn't in the rotation often this year because the team was so deep. He also, and I don't think this gets enough play, he messed up his ankle 3 times during this season and you didn't even really realize it sometimes because he wasn't in the rotation, but he was in street clothes on the bench because in practice, he was just limited from the amount of time that he was healthy. So I think Rob is a huge thing. He's a huge part of the ceiling of this team. They need a point guard. They need another guy that can dribble into the middle of the floor and score or pass out of there. And they kind of need that now because that's not really Mike Conley's game, even if Mike Conley's going to be here. So I think the hope is that Rob Dillingham is able to give you, real backup point guard minutes and doing so in a dynamic way. He's just so different on the age spectrum where he'll be 20 years old next season, whereas Shannon will be 24.
Dane, I think you're excellent at what you do. I appreciate your time as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
No problem, man. Anytime.
All right. Thanks, Dane Moore from the Dane Moore podcast. He just dropped a new podcast talking a little Kevin Durant trade in at least the possibility of a Kevin Durant trade in that podcast. You can listen to it right now at the Dane Moore podcast. 1 more hour to go, and we're talking Twins with John Bonus. Speaking of successful podcasts, he does the Gleeman and the Geek podcast. Chatting with Johnny B next.
Let your imagination take flight with an AI-powered PC from Lenovo. Whether it's creating digital art, designing new software, or building a portfolio for a future career, our PCs are powered by Intel Core Ultra processors to help students unlock smarter learning and unleash their creativity. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. All you have to do is choose the one that fits your passion. Head to Lenovo.com to shop AI PCs and find your perfect companion. Plus, get 5% off when you create an education account.
And here we have a specimen from the early 2000s, a legacy investing platform. Please don't touch the exhibit, folks. It could crash.
Ready to step out of the financial history museum? At Public.com, you can invest in almost everything. Stocks, bonds, options, and more. You could even put your cash to work at an industry-leading 4.1% APY. Leave your clunky, outdated platform behind. Go to Public.com and fund your account in 5 minutes or less. Paid for by Public Investing Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Full disclosures at Public.com/disclosures.
Some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.